Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a quick review of the Sony 70-200 f4G lens. It is a budget choice for telephoto lens. The main reason I bought this lens was for shooting sport. 4 months ago I went to my local tennis club and shot some random photos with the Sony 24-240 super zoom lens. And the result I brought home was not satisfactory. Most of the pictures I took were not in focus, not exactly in focus, a little bit missed. It was difficult to find focus, and when I do, the images were a little bit weak and soft. That's when I realized that I wanted something better. So I sold my 24-240 and got the 70-200. And after 4 months, here I am doing a quick review. With a 70-200 lens, you can get 300mm full frame equivalent focal length on an APS-C camera, which is slightly shorter than what you can get with a 24-240, but it makes up the difference more than enough with the constant aperture f4, which means you get much more light at the telephoto end. Plus, you don't really need that much longer than 300mm on a tennis court. It can be a bit too close when you shoot with that range. Usually I find it sufficient to shoot between 100 to 200mm full frame mode. Let's take a look at some sample photos I took during a tennis match. First, I shot a bunch with the lens mounted on my A6300 because the camera's autofocus is super fast and the burst rate is really high, perfect for sports action shots. But as I said before, you really don't need that long range to shoot tennis court, so I found myself barely zoom in much. These shots were taken at about 70mm, and I really like these shots. Super clean, not as sharp as I would hope actually, since it's indoor and the lighting condition was a little bit limited. f4 comes in handy, but it's not f2.8, so it's understandable. When you zoom in, you can see the noise and it's not perfectly defined sharp. And when I mount the lens on a full frame A7RII, the images are quite a bit more detailed thanks to the 42MP sensor. And I'm kind of surprised that the A7RII's autofocus held up so well despite a slower burst rate at 5 frames per second. I found it fast enough to track the motion and keep everything in focus. Gotta say that I have nothing to complain regarding autofocus in this combination. So in the end, I guess it's not worth using the lens on A6200 after all, since I don't need that long range on tennis courts, and nor do I need the super fast shooting speed. And these photos were all taken during daytime inside a shielded tennis court. Lights come in, but it's a bit dim inside. I have no doubt that this lens can yield some really amazing, sharp and detailed images when shooting outdoor sports with sufficient natural lighting. Now let's take a look at these shots that I took during nighttime. Same tennis court, same location, but the lighting condition was a lot worse. So I found myself struggling a lot to capture the motion. I had to crank up the shutter speed and thus also the ISO. So image quality dropped a lot. You can see the picture overall less bright and there's a lot more noise. So this lens does have its limitations. In low light situation, it can be hard to capture fast motions. Well, if you are shooting still subject, it should be no problem since it has OSS and you can lower your shutter speed. And let's take a look at some pictures I took with 24-240 super zoom to compare them with the 70-200. So this super zoom lens, obviously super zoom, the image quality is gonna suffer a little bit, especially at the telephoto end. No matter it's action shots or still shots, if you compare this to the 70-240, it's obvious that the 70-240 produces much higher quality images with more detail, less chromatic aberration, etc. And now let's take a look at some other shots I took on street or trips. This 70-200 lens can be a fantastic landscape lens, street photography lens, or portrait lens as well. The images are sharp with plenty of details. I tested it against the Sony 85mm f1.8 lens in the past and found almost no difference in sharpness. I'm really happy about the results. This lens is gonna serve you really well with good lighting. The only concern I have is low light motion shots as demonstrated before. After all, it's a f4 lens on a €1,000 budget. Now we can take a look at the sample video I just took just to show you the OSS with the image stabilization. The video looks pretty decent. at even 200mm, all the way zoomed in. But when shooting sports, you can imagine it's gonna be a little bit shaky. But I'll test that next time when I get enough footage. Thanks for watching, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you intend to purchase this lens or anything, you can check out my affiliate link in the description to support the channel. Thank you, and see you next time.